Colorado, William Steakin, more like William Streakin, more like William Slackin. Colorado Democrats brace for their own insurgent earthquake. Senator Michael Bennet and Representative Diana DeGette are both facing surprisingly tough races in their Democratic primaries. I don't know how to feel about this like additional level of attention. Obviously, William is a little bit of a Hasanabi head working at Politico now. I think he was formerly at ABC, right? So he clearly pays close attention to what's going on that front, but I don't know how I feel about like political readers knowing about our plans, you know? I don't know how I feel about that. But the insurgent left just shook New York. Colorado Democrats increasingly think they could be next. Democrats in the Centennial State are bracing for an anti-establishment earthquake of their own. Tuesday's primary election will test the left's momentum beyond the 5 boroughs and whether the anti-incumbent fever will topple Senator Michael Bennet, Representative Diana DeGette, a pair of longtime fixtures of state Democratic politics. Bennett allies acknowledge his primary for governor's race is far closer than they expected, a startling position for one of the state's best-known Democrats, while DeGette is facing similar anti-Washington headwinds as internal polling in recent days has set off alarm bells for the 30-year incumbent. Diana DeGette has been occupying this seat for 30 years. And in the process of occupying the seat for 30 years, not much change has come for the people of Denver, Colorado. Okay? We're going to make that change. We're going to be that change. Okay? That's it. We're fighting for that change, and we're going to make sure that change happens. All right? That is what we are working towards, ladies and gentlemen. Make no mistake. Don't you think this social democracy will still need to explore the global south to be viable? As a South American chatter, I worry that nothing will change outside the U.S., even if the DSA wins. You know what's really funny about this? As someone who has now also worked with countries that are literally victims of unequal exchange, countries in the periphery, someone who's interviewed politicians, interviewed, members of the government in places like even Cuba. One of the things that I have seen most consistently from people that are, a part of the socialist parties there, a part of the leadership structure there, is quite literally, can we please get some people we can talk to and work with that would create better outcomes for us? So it's ironic because a lot of people say, oh, I live in the global south, right? I live in the fucking global south. America is still going to be destroying us. Meanwhile, the people that are in charge in these countries are quite literally going, oh my God, you have DSA guys that you're running that are literally running on, no war, no destruction in the third world. That's amazing. Please, thank you so much. So like all these people fucking LARP about how like, oh, social democracy would still obviously maintain the labor aristocracy in the United States of America and would extract natural resources and destroy the third world. And it's like literally fucking people in the third world that are in positions of power, socialists and communists, are like, please get like anyone. Dog, Pramila Jayapal has gone to Cuba on numerous occasions. Like for many of these, I'm not mad at this chatter, by the way. I'm just explaining the dynamic a little bit better for a lot of people who don't understand it. Like, it's just like there are straight up people who are desperate for a non-reactionary politics coming from America. They're excited at the prospect of having people who won't actually try to kill their people and instead will try to chart a much more equitable and much more just path for everyone involved. You know what I mean? Also, if this wasn't as consequential for American foreign policy, you wouldn't have outside expenditures dumping fucking boatloads of cash into this race. With Diana DeGette, this last week, you got Apex subsidiaries, Lockheed Martin, Amazon, dumping money into the race, putting out heinous attack ads against Maylot Quiros. Why are they doing that? Why is it always the people that are dropping the ball that are ostensibly the most radical people we've ever encountered, right? Who are just like, oh, I'm too radical for this shit. I'm too radical for electoralism. Meanwhile, all of these groups have their eyes on the motherfucking prize, okay? All these groups have their eyes on the prize. Look, as we get down to the wire in Colorado 1, Representative Diana DeGette getting some last-minute contributions from Lockheed Martin and Amazon, as well as a few pharmaceutical companies, okay? I said, DeGette isn't a real progressive. When push comes to shove, every incumbent Dem facing an insurgent socialist challenger has had outside money pour in from major corps to flood the market with heinous smears and race attack ads against their younger opponents. Many of them younger women of color. Okay? That's it. These guys understand how devastating it is, right? These guys understand how devastating it would be for corporate interests if we actually had people who are more responsive to the needs of the masses come into positions of power slowly but surely. That's why they recognize the threat and they're doing everything they can to change that dynamic. So I don't like having to fucking constantly argue with people in my community that are like, well, what about this? Is this going to be enough? Like, yeah, it's not, but it's just the beginning. Just, trust the process, please. I feel like there's enough W's that we've posted on the fucking board, and think about how great you feel when you see these dudes mauled, okay? And fucking phone bank. The primaries come after several Democratic incumbents and establishment-backed candidates have already fallen this year, including New York City last week, where Reps Adriano Espaillat and Dan Goldman lost challenges from the left, as well as in Maine, where Governor Janet Mills was forced from her Senate race by controversial progressive Grant Plattner, which obviously I was devastated by. Pills Mafia to the bitter end. You already know I'm still with Pills. I'm still pilled. I'm still Janet pilled. Janet Series, rise up. She can still win if we do a write-in campaign. Pills Mafia, baby. There's a lot of anti-establishment momentum because voters are so angry, said Doug Fried-Nash, longtime Colorado Democratic strategist and former gubernatorial chief of staff to the moderate-leaning Senator John Hickenpooper, who's facing a progressive challenge of his own from State Senator Julie Gonzalez, also known as Senadora Gonzalez. They want to take it out on someone. They want fighters. Bennett, a two-term senator, one-time presidential candidate, faces Attorney General Phil Weiser in an unusually volatile contest. So the Boo-Boo Bennett Attorney General Phil Weiser one is an interesting race too. I don't really know too much about him. I don't think he's like all that, progressive. But the fact that like people want changes to that degree is really interesting because like Bennett is one of the most well-known figures in the fucking state, right? I mean, he ran for president. I'm not a fan of the guy, but, it's really interesting to see Colorado even want to push for someone else other than Poo-Poo Bennett. While Bennett allies maintain they still believe he has the slight edge, two Democratic strategists familiar with this campaign said internal polling has shown a tighter contest than they expected, raising concerns of voter anger towards any close association with Washington has made even the well-known statewide figure vulnerable. A recent public survey conducted by the liberal pollster PPP showed him trailing outside the margin of error. That's crazy. There may only be a slight Bennett advantage at this point, said a Democratic strategist close to Colorado's governor's race, granted anonymity to candidly discuss the campaign, adding that private polling has been all over the place. Despite serving as Attorney General for 8 years, Weiser has increasingly worked to cast himself as the anti-establishment alternative by portraying Bennett as the Washington insider, a message several Dem strategists close to the Bennett campaign said has found traction. The race has increasingly become a contest over who has fought President Donald Trump harder, reflecting what many Democrats describe as the defining mood of this year's primary electorate: anger with Washington, frustration with Democratic leadership, and a desire for candidates who project an ability to fight. Coloradans trust Phil's people-powered campaign, not Michael Bennett's establishment Washington-style campaign backed by out-of-state billionaires, corporations, and special interests, Weiser spokesperson Nate Jackson said. Bennett's campaign has sought to change the mantle as well. One of the funniest things that I've noticed, at least, is that I'm an outsider, right? I'm from California. And obviously, like, I assume in the future they'll start attacking me and be like, oh, they're drop shipping outside communists into these races or whatever, right? But what's really interesting about it is that they haven't done that as much in any of the races that I've been involved in. And I suspect part of that is because, like, I have fucking fans in these places as well. So they don't see it as like, they don't see it as me just like coming as an outsider and like bringing people to go and door knock. As a matter of fact, ironically, the only race where they did that was San fucking Francisco. Okay? San Francisco is the only race where they actually hit me nonstop with he's an outsider, he's not from here, he's carpetbagging into the fucking district, he's actually trying to pump Shoykot up, and all of his door knockers are out of towners. That was crazy. Motherfucker, I've been in New York this whole time. I've been in motherfucking Colorado. I've been in Denver. I've been in St. Louis, Missouri, and they don't do that shit. Except for San Francisco. Anyway, the anxiety may even be greater around DeGette. The 68-year-old is facing her most serious primary challenge for 3 decades in Congress from Democratic Socialist Menlock Quiros, who at 29 years old was born just a few months after DeGette won her seat. People closest to DeGette's campaign say the warning signs have been there for months, but her team's concern ratcheted up in the recent weeks as the campaign's internal polling found the race also narrowing within the margin of error, according to political strategists close to the DeGette campaign. That's when they went super racist with it, by the way. They went super negative. When they saw that, they were like, uh-oh, this is a problem. You could have just stopped with it's San Francisco, we get it. No, you don't get it. And I didn't get it either. San Francisco is literally a different planet. It's unlike anything I've ever experienced. It has some of the wildest ultras, YIMBY, NIMBY distinctions that are more important than anything else. And also just a metric ton of liberals that are perfectly fine with tech fascism. It's devastating. It's devastating because it also went to Tom Steyer by like massive numbers on the one hand, but then also opposed Shoykot on the same ballot, ironically enough. You're not getting invited to the Peptide Plus AI-powered bar startup? Yeah. It produced Brace Belden, that's all you need to know? Yeah. Brace is one of my favorite people of all time, which is why I'm always shocked. But yeah, he is a San Francisco nationalist too. It's not even a joke. He really is a San Francisco nationalist. It's very interesting. Anyway, it's just San Francisco's an anomaly. Even after that incident, I think the tech neo-fascists, the neo-feudalist tech overlords have successfully bricked the minds of everyone that lives there. Whether it be liberals that actually perfectly welcome this kind of new dystopian future, or whether it be the left and what remains of the left movement in San Francisco. It's crazy. Mad Cutters, thank you for the 10 tier 1 gifted subs. Anyway. So yeah, DeGette's team spent weeks warning national Democrats that were facing a far more competitive race than many appreciated. National groups who poured in money to the race's final week in a desperate attempt to save the Congress member, even as some DeGette allies privately grumbled that she had not done nearly enough to stave off her challenger. It's not looking great, said one prominent Colorado Democratic strategist familiar with DeGette's polling and granted anonymity to discuss private campaign data. It's very tough when you're fighting against the wave. That strategist said they'd also seen a recent private survey that showed Hickenlooper in dead heat with Gonzalez in Denver. Hold up. That is new information. That's actually very interesting. However, that's not good. The most charitable interpretation here is if they meant like the entirety of Colorado, that would be fantastic. But for Julie Gonzalez to defeat Hickenpooper, she's going to have to be showing up significant margins in Denver, I think. The most recent public poll of the race conducted in late May, Hickenlooper led Gonzalez by 41% to 34%, though it had an unusually high number of undecided voters. DeGette and her allies, see, it's never good if you're sub 50. If you're an incumbent, okay? If you're an incumbent and you're sub 50, you're fucked. Okay? I need you to understand. If you are an incumbent and you're sub 50, you're fucked. That means people are done with your ass. Okay? Remember that. Also, I have to pee really bad. So I'm just going to play the Supreme Court video and I'm going to go pee real quick because I have to pee. I'm sorry.
Handed down two key decisions on presidential power and the firing of people from government agencies. Justices ruled that President Trump does not have the constitutional authority to fire Lisa Cook, a governor from the Federal Reserve Board.
But the court backed the president's power to terminate Rebecca Slaughter, a Democratic appointee to the Federal Trade Commission. This ruling grants more presidential power over federal agencies that are considered independent. It overturns 90 years of precedent. CNN Chief Legal Affairs Correspondent Paula Reed is right outside the Supreme Court. So, Paula, walk us through the significance of these decisions today.
Pamela, these are such incredibly significant decisions. In many ways, these will be some of the defining opinions of the Roberts Court because they get to this question that has been hanging over the second Trump term, which is, are there any limits to his ability to fire federal officials? And here they give us some insight. While President Trump and his lawyers believe in something called a unitary executive theory and that the executives should be able to fire anyone they want, any way they want, here the justices put a few limits on that. In the one case, they ruled, and it's a really interesting group that was in this majority opinion. It's Chief Justice John Roberts, Justice Kavanaugh, and the three liberals all ruled that he cannot fire an official in the Federal Reserve without going through a process, giving that individual an opportunity to respond, that there are some limits on his power when it comes to firing officials at that agency. Now, that is one that has, of course, always been recognized as being independent of the White House. But in a separate case, when it comes to an employee at the Federal Trade Commission, that he does have the power to fire that individual because that is within the executive branch. And again, this is a significant decision because it's sort of drawing out the contours of the extent of his power to try to reshape the federal government through these mass firings. Now, President Trump wasn't clear how he was going to react to these decisions, and it's been a pretty mixed day for him overall at the court, but he described this as, quote, a big win.
I want to bring in our chief Supreme Court analyst, Joan Biskupic, right now. Joan, like Pamela, Paula, you were inside the court when these decisions came down. Give us a little sense of how that felt.
Sure, Wolf. It's good to see you. The most important thing the justices...
Majority Report raid. Thank you, Majority Report, for the raid. Hope you had a good stream. We are doing the damn thing out here. I'm going to go back to the Colorado race now. Sorry, because I was peeing. But, yeah. Getting back to Colorado, we'll talk about the Supreme Court in a second, okay? Democrats have a lot of power to wield if they take back the White House. Yes. Turning in my Colorado ballot today. Nice. Okay, so where was I? DeGette and her allies are racing the blunt Quiros's momentum. Outside groups have poured roughly $3 million into the race over the past month, including about $2.3 million backing DeGette or opposing Quiros, including $1.3 million in spending since just Monday, mostly for DeGette. Her side has had a nearly 3-to-1 spending advantage down the final stretch. DeGette has also rolled out last-minute endorsement video from Pramila Jayapal, former chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, a move that drew quick backlash from some progressives, giving Quiros support from Senator Bernie Sanders and other national progressive leaders. It's been hard, I would say, to get outside groups and funders, as well as even within the city, to understand this was a real race because people like DeGette always won, the Colorado Democratic strategist close to the campaign added. Quiros told Politico last week that she had more than 5,000 volunteers. Her campaign said she had seen a surge of support since New York's results, including more attention, donations of volunteers, and trying to capitalize on that momentum of more than 60 canvases planned across the city in the lead up to Tuesday, an endorsement from the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, and planned march in Denver's Pride Parade this weekend. We feel very confident that the program that we built, the movement that we built, is going to be able to combat any amount of money that they throw at us in this final week, Quiros said in an interview. This is the people organizing and making it abundantly clear that they are no longer accepting the status quo and are demanding the change. A dead heat for a DeGette internal for Julie is probably better than you think. It's almost like a Hickenlooper internal. Quiroz' supporters say they're trying to recreate the organizing model that helped propel Democratic Socialists. Hold on. Propel Democratic Socialists to sweeping victories in New York. National DSA chapters are hosting phone banks for Quiroz nearly every day through Tuesday, while Denver organizers say they expect to knock on just shy of 100,000 doors before polls close. The effort has accelerated since Tuesday's victories. Denver DSA has added hundreds of members this month. Popular Tushimir Piker, who became one of the most visible outside organizers in New York by hosting marathon live stream phone banks and campaigning alongside DSA candidates on primary day, told Politico he plans to try to replicate that effort in Colorado, and he intends to host another phone bank marathon for Quiroz, which I already did, William. That's why I said, William, I know you're watching right now, William slacking. I already had done that, and we already called 110. We already called 110 voters in Denver the first night that we did that, and the efforts obviously are still continuing. And we haven't even gotten done yet. Obviously, there's E-Day. 110,000 phone calls are just on the first night. And we got more. Several Colorado Democrats caution Denver is not New York. The city's not as liberal. Its DSA infrastructure is significantly smaller. This is true. And DeGette still benefits from decades of name recognition and relationships across the district. They also acknowledge Denver has become younger, more progressive, and increasingly receptive to anti-establishment candidates. Everybody now knows this is a race. This is no longer sneaking up on everybody. One longtime Democratic strategist close to the DeGette campaign said, I think DeGette should be very concerned. Friednash said he still believes DeGette has a chance, but if Quiroz wins, Friednash says that's a massive game changer in Colorado politics. And that game we shall change, ladies and gentlemen. We shall change it. Apparently, Colorado votes very late, so day of voting is huge, even though it's all still mail ballots. Tomorrow, I will be alongside Chris Rabb doing a canvas lead in Denver, Colorado, and we're going to pump those numbers, okay? I know you like the number. And we are going to pump that number, okay? Also, Abdul is in the top 5 in Act Blue as the only non-nominee. That's pretty fire. That's good because he needs it. I already filled my ballot, but I don't drop it off until work tomorrow. Nice. Have you stayed up to date with DSA movements in San Diego? No. I want to talk not just to Gustavo, but to the DSA National and try to, I mean, maybe they already have something like this lined up and I don't know, but try to do like a clinic on with some of the top field leads and you know, get every local DSA chapter up to speed with the victories and the organizing that New York has put forward. Because, you know, not every DSA chapter obviously has the same experience. And I think New York City's experience in the last decade is very important. And I think it would help tremendously other chapters as well. Their experience could help quite a bit. The NEC is who you want to work with. They handle a lot of the electoral work nationally. Yeah. Is there no phone bank for Julie Gonzalez? I believe there are. I haven't been keeping close attention to the Julie Gonzalez campaign because I've been hyper focused on Maylot. Obviously, I want to make sure. That we get Maylot across the finish line. But yes, Julie4.us, phone banking to voters. That's the link if you want to go phone bank for Julie Gonzalez Bush. She's also fantastic. She doesn't have the same groundwork team that and the same field team that Maylot has because she's not DSA endorsed, but you know, that would still be a significant W. I will tell you this much, okay? look, these things take time, but as it stands currently, for Senate races, because Senate races are statewide, I'm going to tell you right now, if AOC runs for Chuck Schumer's seat, she's going to be the first Democratic Socialist senator. Senate runs, I think people are still a little bit shy about the moniker. And I don't think that it's valid. But someone has to break that seal first. And once someone does break that seal, you'll see others do the same. No, Bernie is an independent from Vermont, guys. Come on. Bernie is not. Chatters, you cannot compare Bernie Sanders to anybody else. What are you talking about? Summer Lee, I think, will be. Graham Plattner doesn't identify as a socialist, if you noticed. Abdul El-Sayed doesn't identify as a democratic socialist. Graham Plattner doesn't identify as a democratic socialist. And neither does Julie Gonzalez. And I think they're shy about the moniker. They're shy about the association. This is pure speculative. And I think that will change eventually. But Summer Lee will probably, I assume, be the first. If she does. Or AOC, if she does, will be the first. You're obviously forgetting James Del Rio, the first communist senator of Texas. Yes, you're right. How can I forget the first Maoist third worldist senator? And he's coming out. Isn't there something up with Summer Lee in Pennsylvania's DSA? Normally, I would stand by the chapter as opposed to the candidate. But with Summer Lee, I stand by Summer Lee no matter what. I'm a fedayeen for Summer Lee. I think whatever drama or beef took place there, the chapter should be begging Summer Lee for an association and offer unlimited support to her, whatever she wants. Okay. Like in most circumstances, if there's like any drama with a politician and a specific chapter, I would say I would usually side with DSA. Pittsburgh DSA got taken over by ultras and they ruined their relationship with Summer. Ay. But why don't you fully endorse better candidates like Julie? Dog, what are you talking about? I like Julie Gonzalez. I literally fundraised for Julie Gonzalez. I fundraised for Julie Gonzalez. She was here. She sat next to me. What the fuck? We were supposed to do a fucking rally together. I did not know that. Yeah, what are you talking about? We were supposed to do a rally together and then the rally got fucking canceled and she pulled out last second. I was fine with like interviewing her afterwards though. But of course, you're an independent media figure, so you'd side with the GSA chapter in theory? Yes. Anyway, so yeah, there is that.